On behalf of Department of Civil Engineering, uh, I welcome all of you in this 3 days online faculty development program, which title is Research Methodology, Research Paper Writing, and Patent Registration. I warmly welcome all of you to here, and now I request to Dr. H.S. Jadhav sir to give some address to all participants. It's over to you, Jadhav sir.
Hello, I am audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good morning to all of you. Respected our resource person and guest of this inaugural function, Director of AMJOI, Watar, Dr. H.T. Jadhav, sir, all other resource persons, Head of the Civil Engineering Department, Professor Kuldeep Mali, Coordinator of this program, Professor Srikant Ingle, Professor Vinayak Hulwani, and all faculty and dear participant friends. I welcome you all on behalf of Rajarambapu Institute of Technology. And also, I am very grateful to our mentor, support, Dr. Sushma Kulkarni Madam, Director of RIT. And also I am grateful to IST RIT chapter for their support for this online faculty development program. So talking about the RIT is one of the prime and an autonomous institute of Classical Society, which is established in 1983, founded by late Sri Rajarambapu Patil with an aim of imparting quality in technical education for rural areas. And RIT has achieved an excellent performance under the leadership of our great leader, Honorable Sri Jayendraoji Patil, Minister of Finance and Planning of Government of Maharashtra. We developed the excellent infrastructure because of the RIT is having TechU funded institute. We have well-equipped laboratories, and really it is a state-of-art central library. RIT also offering 8 UG, 9 PG, MBA, BBA, 3 PhD with 6 diploma programs. Our all UG, PG, and also in this year, our 4 diploma programs are NB accredited, and I proudly say, announce on this platform to all of you, our civil engineering diploma program is accredited for 6 years with scoring of 773 marks out of 1000. Really, I appreciate their efforts and congratulate all my civil engineering faculty. Also, RIT has awarded A grade by the NAC. Coming to the diploma, our diploma program started with automobile, electrical, civil and mechanical in second shift in 2014 and 15. And now from this current academic year, we also started our computer engineering and computer special branch computer hardware and maintenance from this academic year. And also I am proud to say our all diploma programs awarded with an excellent grade of ranking consistency last 5 years by MSBT academic monitoring. Because of we focused on outcome based education. We are using active learning tools in teaching learning process. Also, our student-centered learning, and that includes students gain necessary skill sets and which address the real world and societal needs. And we have 100% placements along with 100% final year academic results. I really appreciate the coordinator of this program, Professor Hulwani and Ingle, with this civil engineering department, because it is a selection of good topic for this faculty development program. It is a really most important as a faculty. So each and every faculty do the research in our interested areas. And main object of this program is faculty should carry out the research in his area of interest, also shift his or her mindset in relation to his approach, attitude and activity to research in teaching learning process. Not only that, but my concern is that you have to increase the students' involvements in learning, upgrade their technical and other skills and research ability and habits with learning awareness. And I sure about that if you attend this 3 days all sessions of the resource persons, really resource persons are expert in their research areas. You come across them while in that session and attending these programs. I know you all persons will able to carry out why should and how to do the research to identify and write the research paper. And excellently that topic chosen for this our faculty development program, that is patent registration. It is the most important. So this is procedure also going to explain in our coming days, and you will get hands-on opportunity to write the paper in identified areas. And I appeal to all of you and I request our coordinator, give them some research portion. You have to give one task to all the faculty on they should write a small one-page paper right from relevance, their identification, methodologies, how to write the results and discussion, and finally conclusion, even though how to write the references from this paper. So I expect from all participants that you should take this opportunity and write one simple on your area paper and show them to the our resource persons, and it is really good for you and this platform, even though it is online, but you can get the hands-on experience from this program. And I hope you will have very exciting and enriching academic sessions for these 3 sessions. And at last, once again, I welcome you all at online platform at our institute. Wish you all the best. Thank you. Jai Hind. Stay safe. Be connected with the RIT. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Your words are always good for us. Now I request our beloved HOD, Professor KP Mari, sir, to give some address to our participants. It's over to you, Mari, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Jadhav sir, for your motivational word. A very good morning to all. I'm Professor KP Mari, looking after Head of Civil Department. I warm welcome you all for this FDP titled as Research Methodology, Paper Writing, and Patent Registration. I warm welcome our today's guest, Dr. H. Jadhav, Dean Diploma, and 3 days experts, Dr. H.T. Jadhav sir, Dr. S.R. Patil sir, and Dr. A.B. Kakre sir for accepting our invitation. In shortly, I will introduce my department. Our civil department started in 2014 and having intake capacity of 60 students. We have total 9 faculties Out of 9 faculties, 6 faculties completed their post graduation and having experience more than 6 years. I'm very much glad to inform you our civil program got 6 years of accreditation by NBA up to 2017. I'm very much thankful to our institute, all support system for their continuous support throughout the process. I wish you all to take benefits of this FPDP and to publish your research work in a reputed journal and try to register your patent, your work as a patent. Our aim of this program is to develop yourself, to research and publish your work in a reputed journal. Without taking too much time, I hope all of you will enjoy this 3 days fruitful sessions. Thank you. Thank you. All. Over to you, Hulwan sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request okay, Mr. Yavis Yadav, sir, for a vote of thanks.
Hello. Am I audible, Hulwan sir? Hulwan sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, very good morning to everyone. Here is Mr. M.S. Yadav working as a lecturer in the Department of Civil Engineering. So, very first, I would like to thank on the behalf of Department of Civil Engineering to our Honorable Director of RIT, Dr. H.S. Kulkarni Madam, Honorable today's Chief Guest, Dr. H.T. Jadhav Sir, Director at AMGY Water, respected and beloved Dr. H.S. Jadhav Sir, Dean Diploma, and our beloved HOD, Professor K.P. Mai Sir, and whole my team for arranging such a wonderful inaugural function, and all my dear participants for getting registered for such a wonderful FDP. Thank you so much. Definitely, these all the sessions will be very informative for all the participants, and the other resource persons are also very knowledgeable. Hope you all will enjoy all the sessions. Thank you so much. Then uh, uh, request Professor Ajit Kadam sir to start with this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for giving me your valuable times. Uh, Now I hear you declare your inauguration function is over and the main session of research methodology is started. Now it's over to you, Kadam sir.
Uh, Good morning, all of you. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good morning to all of you. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. H.T. Jadhav, sir, Director of Ashok Mani Group of Institute, Watar. He is going to talk us about the research methodology. So now, sir working as a director, Ashok Group of Institute Watar. The qualification of ST Jadhav sir, PhD. Sir has completed PhD in Electrical Engineering Department 2016, ME in 2006, and Bachelor of Engineering in 1995. Sir, professional. Dr. ST Jadhav sir, professional experience is total experience of more than 23 years till March 2021. Sir has worked as a professor at Electrical Engineering Department of Rajarambapu Institute of Technology, Rajaramnagar, and he is also working as a energy auditor certified by Bureau of Energy Efficiency System under the Government of India. Now, sir has overseen responsibilities as head of PG program earlier in RIT Rajaramnagar. Now, research interests. Sir has interests are wind energy integration issues, economic dispatch and optimal power flow studies, power electronics, energy auditing and management, nature of inspired optimization systems. Also, sir has published in research articles in various H-indexed and science citation indexed international journals, which is belonging to elsewhere, as well as in reputed conferences like International Conference on Environment and Electrical Engineering, uh, triple EIC in Italy and India also. Now he successfully published 11 international journals and 5 Indian journals. Now professional distinctions, sir, member. Now ST Jadhav sir, working as a member of IEEE, IST and IET, and sir reviewer, sorry, International Journal Reviewer of IEEE, CSEE Journal of Power and Energy Systems, International Journal of Electrical Power and Energy Systems elsewhere, IET Generation, Transmission and Distribution, and Taylor and Francis Journals, International Journal of Green Energy. So now, so this is all about our today's uh, resource person, Dr. H.T. Jadhav sir. Now I am I request to Mr. Hulwani sir, sorry, H.T. Jadhav sir, to start our today's session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. And let me just share the screen. Please confirm that my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm thankful to Dr. H. Jadhav, sir, then Professor Mari, sir, Professor Pulwane, sir, and Professor Ingre, sir, for inviting me and giving an opportunity to share some of my experiences with all faculty members of this institution. So I'm Dr. H.T. Jadhav. I was there at RIT as a professor in electrical engineering department, and recently I have joined as a director in Ashok Mane Group of Institution, Watar. So I have been asked to present a small, a topic on research methodology. Before I get into presentation, let me again confirm if my voice is very clear.
Yes, sir. It is very clear.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so I have set some assumptions upfront before I proceed. In fact, this topic research methodology is a course generally offered to master students or PhD students, and all the participants probably they have done their masters. So most of you have undergone this course. Generally 15 to 20 lectures are required in order to cover this course effectively. However, I have tried my level best to cover most of the things as to how one should pursue or get into research activity uh, using just few 15 to 20 slides, and I hope I'll be able to convince all the participants that how one can get into a research activity. So there are certain assumptions upfront I have, like all participants are from science and technology wing, because research methodology slightly changes for other disciplines like maybe arts, commerce, science, or maybe medical science and pharmacy and so on. Although most of the components are common, I have other assumption that all the participants are beginner and no much research work is done so far. That is my assumption. If at all this meeting is being attended by senior professors and experienced participants, then I appeal to them to contribute in the session as and when necessary, even by interrupting me or maybe after my session is over, so that all the learners in this meeting will get benefited from your experience as well. All participants are from teaching fraternity. That is another assumption. The reason is that we will be talking about research on academic development, and therefore the assumption is there. And I also believe that all the participants uh, are in the process of research, and they wish to publish paper research findings into scholarly publications. So most of the discussion which I'll be taking ahead is considering the fact that we will be doing research based on academic development. So these are some of my assumptions. So now we have the session wherein we will be talking about how to get into research activity. I mean, how to start research work. Because if you see the program, this program is very nicely organized. In fact, I should congratulate to all the organizers for uh, the way they have planned these 3 days. And in fact, many other polytechnics and other engineering institutions should come out with this kind of model where initially research methodology part is introduced, then followed by two more important sessions like how to publish these findings once the research is over in the form of either patent or maybe in the form of a research paper in scholarly journals. So research has several definitions. In fact, research is defined the way the Chatur is defining machine in Three Idiot movie, and research can be defined the way Amir Khan defines the machine in that movie. Anyway, so in general, most of the literatures or documents has got this definition. In short, it's simply creation of new knowledge. Some new knowledge, if you can create, that means you have done research. Or it can be like use of existing knowledge and in a new and creating way. I mean, there is a knowledge already existing, but you are reproducing that knowledge in a new and creative way to generate some new concepts, new methodologies, new procedures, and new understandings. So that can also be called as a research, right? And research can be like if you synthesize, analyze somebody's research, someone has done a research, and if you can simply analyze it and add something more, then that also can represent a research. So research does not mean always that you should go to the laboratory. I mean, machines laboratory, or I think most of the people are from mechanical, civil, electrical, and computer science, and these domains in today's meeting, if I assume, then research does not mean that we should go and do something with machines and then have some findings and then we can publish. It is not the case. Whenever some kind of knowledge is created which does not exist in any literature, then you can say that you have done some research. And therefore research exists everywhere in our life. It doesn't mean that we have to do research while doing my master's or PhD. Every day we do some research. For example, when we decide to buy something, you know, we do research for 2 3 days, and then we decide that this is the best product for me. So that may not be a systematic research, or that may not be a research to an extent that we can publish, but it is a research. So research has several definitions, and these are the three popular definitions. Professor Mari, just confirm that the things are good going.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, great. So there are, to me, there are two types of researches. One is academic research, and other is a professional research. So there are 3 points which defines the academic research. So academic research is a kind of scientific and systematic procedure. So it is a scientific and systematic procedure to solve a problem, maybe technical problem or any kind of problem, or to identify some facts or some opinion. So that comes under the academic research type of activity. Academic research generally focus on some specific research goals, research questions that arises from past researchers. See, this is very important for us, because most of us right now who are there in the meeting, they rely on the research of some other researchers, because there may be little chance to go to some industry and to talk to some industry people and asking them for industry problem, and then doing something to solve that problem. That is a kind of research. Of course, it's called professional research, but again there are certain limitations that those industry people may not permit you to publish your findings. So if I believe all the researchers in this meeting are aspiring for publishing paper, then this is the right type of approach, that let us focus on certain research questions, and it has roots in a past literature. And academic research can be like it's a guided by existing theories in order to reject or support certain hypotheses. Okay, so we use the existing theories available in order to, you know, support some assumption which we made in the beginning, or reject something. So that these are the three answers to the question that what is mean by academic research. Whereas there is another kind of research, you call it as a professional research, or some people use as use the term called applied research, which essentially attempts to seek solutions to the problems in the organization. I mean, as I told you just few minutes before that, industry problems. We use this word industry problems in our day-to-day life, and we ask our students also that they should go to industry, identify some problems and solve it. Essentially, this comes under the category of professional research or applied research. Here, these problems are more practical. I mean, there is a problem, and industries are looking for immediate solutions. I mean, if you go and ask them that, okay, give me an year and I will solve this, probably they may not be interested. They will immediately talk to professionals in that case, that we have this problem and we want to settle down this problem within a week. So these problems are more practical, and the goal is different here, of course. And all the findings are kept private. I mean, if some industry problem is solved, the industry never want it to be published. So that kind of approach is there here in this kind of research. And results, whatever findings of such a research activity are generally retained in the organization, and they are not published. I mean, it's a strategy of that, or it may be a policy of that organization to preserve all those decisions and strategies found while solving those problems. So this probably is less relevant in our case in our today's meeting. However, I do not mean that the faculty members should not engage themselves in industry related problems. They they may, and then they have to find the way how they can publish without compromising the terms and conditions of those industries uh, who have sponsored the research or who have given you permission to work on their practical problems. See, in research methodology course, probably all of you have taken this course, or I can say that research methodology word, if you type in a YouTube, there are many YouTube videos and you can learn there also. There are many Udemy courses in the NPTEL courses titled research methodology, and we can learn there also. And we find generally in these kind of resources that 8 steps are followed. These are the 8 steps standard. I mean, irrespective of a kind of discipline, if it is engineering research, it's a social science research, medicine or pharmacy or any kind of research, if you take, then these are the 8 points generally included in that research process. For example, identifying research problem. Yes, that is needed because otherwise we cannot proceed further. Very important component is a literature review. I just mentioned about 2 kinds of research activities. One that is academic research, and the second that is a professional and applied research. So there probably a person working on that problem, industry problem, may not do much literature review, and time in that case, the person may try to find out the best feasible solution in the interest of industry, considering the time, the amount money required, and other aspects suggested by the industry owner. So literature review is something which is more relevant when it comes to academic researches. Then of course the next step is setting a research question. The research question, which generally is set in engineering fraternity, but sometimes the term hypothesis is also there in some of the kind of research activities, but this term hypothesis is more relevant to non-engineering kind of researches, particularly sociology or social science researches, where some data is to be taken, some hypothesis is set up, and some tools are to be used to test this hypothesis. But I think we have at RIT, we do a lot of research in engineering education also, because we are publishing, the institution is publishing a journal which is affiliated to engineering education. So most teachers in RIT, they publish paper in engineering education journal, and then they use this concept, or they set up some hypothesis. So there it becomes more relevant. We'll come to this point later also. Then fourth step is choosing suitable study design, suitable approach, strategy to solve that research problem identified. So see, these 4 points I have highlighted in a black color. They are mostly common in engineering researches, but fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, I don't know whether our engineering projects involve this kind of strategies explicitly. Explicitly collecting data, analyzing the data, these two things are involved in a social science type of research. For example, now there's a pandemic going on, and continuously the researchers are working on this pandemic related matter. So they collect some data, whether this virus or that virus, whether it is affecting to X type of people, Y type of people, whether it is affecting to only adults or aged people, youngsters or kids. So these kind of data are continuously pulled from the market, and then they are analyzed to come to certain conclusions. So data collection in our engineering perspective refers to doing some experimentation in laboratory or simulation studies, and that's a part of collecting the data, and then we analyze the data, and then we interpret the results. So these four steps, rather these 3 steps, in our engineering perspective we put up this way. But as I said, when it comes to social science type of research, collecting data is just getting some information from the public domain. See, there are many ways to collect the data. There are many ways to analyze the data. Many options are available. So I have written these things in the bracket. If suppose some research is already done somewhere and you want to just duplicate that research, so duplicating a research will not help you to publish a paper. Okay, research does not mean to duplicate something. I think I have one slide what is not a research. But yes, if you have a different approach to collect the data, and if you do the same activity by having adopted different approach of collecting the data, then that becomes your research. I mean, you can always publish it. Or some research is already there in the literature, and it has been having some data which is analyzed by some specific method, but you use another method of analyzing the same finding, then essentially you are creating new knowledge, and therefore it is your research. You can always claim and publish. A very important component of this entire research process is interpreting the results. That is very important. And finally, we end up with writing a research paper. So I understand we have a separate speaker who will be talking about how to write a research paper. And it may not be limited to writing a research paper. If you believe your findings are totally different and it has some connect with industries, or it can be commercialized, it can be exploited for commercial application, then always instead of publishing a paper, you may like to file a patent also, and you may like to retain that intellectual property with you by appropriately documenting. So there are two options to disseminate the knowledge, either publishing a patent or writing a research paper. But at the end, I have some two statements written based on my experience, that there is no single strategy or some kind of recipe with me. Sir, I'll tell you and you will be a successful researcher. It never happened. Any person giving a talk on research methodology will not give you some ready-made dish or some kind of ready-made format which you just follow and then you can be a successful researcher, or you can end up with a very good research study. So there is no guarantee, because everything is unique here, and that depends on a kind of research study you have undertaken. And very important to understand for I mean those who are getting into research, that research is a cyclic and iterative process. And you must have realized also that you decide something to do, and then later on you realize that this cannot be done by this way or that way, and then there are a number of options you keep on exploring, right? So it's a cyclic and iterative process that has to be noted. What is not a research? Professor Mari, is that all right?
Yes, sir. All is going
Yes, sir.
Okay,
properly.
fine. So what is not a research? There are certain lines I have written. They are not representing research. So doing some kind of research which is very obvious is not a research. So if you are engaged with some kind of activity and it is very obvious, probably you may not claim that you have done some research. So that is one thing to be noted. Just replicating existing research work without any novelty. I mean, it is my experience while guiding master's thesis. We started MTech program in RIT sometimes in 2011 for as far as electrical engineering branch is concerned. And we were also not mature enough at that time because we had not done enough research. So what used to happen is people used to just come with some research article and they used to duplicate it. And they used to claim that this is their master thesis or master work. And we used to even accept it. But it's wrong. I mean, you cannot just duplicate and claim that this is you. And then I have seen some of my master students have duplicated that work and they have published, and those papers are retracted literally. I mean, it's a very bad thing. It has happened with me also. that some of my conference papers are retracted because my students published somebody's duplicate work and I did not pay attention uh, to the kind of work they were submitting. So sometimes supervisor suffers for not paying attention to. So that is one point to be noted. Uh, Okay, use of some application software in finding result. Yeah, many students are beginners. I have seen what they do is they make use of some simulation softwares. Maybe now since the students are from, I mean, these participants are from mechanical, civil, electrical, and so on. And you should be knowing that there are many simulation softwares available these days. So what we do generally, or beginners they do, they just use that software, make certain changes in some variables, some control parameters, and then they come out with some results, and then they claim that I have good results. That is not the way to do a research. There is no any supporting theory. There is no justification as to why those manipulations are done. Nothing is there, and so you can't convince to a reviewer that you have done research. So this is not a research. Any scientific work which does not have connection with the published literature. Yes, see, some people come to me that, sir, I've decided to do this. And when I ask them that, have you gone through literature? And they say that, no, no, I haven't gone through. So you can't claim that something you have decided is going to be a research without checking the fact that it has, or without cross checking whether it has certain roots in published literature or not. So any scientific work which does not have connection with published literature may not be research sometimes. A non-research problem, what is written is, a non-research problem is one that does not require any research to arrive. Yeah, there are certain situations where scientific investigation is not needed. So that cannot be claimed as a research while arriving at a solution. So there are many points you can go on adding to say that this is not a research or what is not a research. So examples of non-research problems. See, there are certain examples I just found in one of the presentations. So I just pulled that slide here. Rise in a price of warm cloths in during winter. I mean, the prices of these clothes are increasing during winter. So somebody may take up a research, but I mean, can this be a research topic? Because it's obvious. If it's in winter, the price of these clothes will going to increase because there's more demand. So you need not do a research here unless you believe that there is some research component. Preferring admission to public universities over private university. I mean, why people prefer public university? Let us do a research. Of course, the research could be like some private universities are preferred over public universities. Then there is a research. For example, if I uh, if I consider some premier institutions in India, BITS Pilani, for example, I have learned recently. My son was 12th standard candidate and he was seeking admission to engineering studies. And I came to know that many students are opting admission to BITS Pilani by rejecting IITs. So that can be a great interesting topic for a researcher, but not otherwise true. Crisis of accommodation in on resort. Of course, this cannot be research because obviously, when it comes to sea resort during summer, the cost of accommodation is going to be. So there are many such a examples you can come out with where there is no requirement of research as such, right? So there's no point in wasting energy in such a kind of topics which are not representing a research problem. Then what's a research problem in that case? So there are certain books, they mention that a problem qualifies as a potential research problem if these three things exist. For example, what it is and what it should have been. So currently, it is something, I mean, that is something, and you believe that it should have been like that. if this kind of situation you encounter in your literature process, I mean literature survey process, then there is a potential research problem. I mean, there is possibility that you can do a research. This situation should exist. Second situation, why discrepancy exists. Suppose somewhere some kind of discrepancy exists in a published literature or in general somewhere, then this situation is a potential research problem for you. And there is very good research question you can always formulate. And there should be a research problem, remember, should have at least minimum two possible solutions. So if you believe that this research problem or this problem has only one solution, then it cannot be a research, because we need something to validate it. So at least two solutions should exist if it's a research problem. So what is research problem? So this is a research problem. See, I'm talking on general fronts because the crowd belongs to different engineering discipline. See, this slide talks about different types of researches, and there is a separate chapter in the book by Kothari under the title Type of Research. So it has been elaborated. I request all the participants that you can further explore this topic by going through the book on research methodology. But for the sake of completeness, I have certain points written to define different types of research. So there are 8 types. In fact, there are many types. I have just included 8 types, which probably I know better. So one is a quantitative research. See here, the word quantitative refers to a number. I mean, if the research involves collecting and analyzing numerical data, then you can claim that it's a quantitative research. On the other hand, qualitative research, where there are non-numerical situations, you collect the data and analyze. For example, you observe something and do research on that. I mean, you are, you know, on the expedition, and you observe different birds, different animals, and then you draw conclusion based on your observations. So that comes under qualitative research. Descriptive research is another category, where you identify characteristic trends, correlations among the variables. So you happen to be a researcher for a certain situation, and certain variables are changing, certain situations are changing. If you can come out with certain trends and relations among the different variables, then essentially you are doing a descriptive research. I already mentioned about applied research, where industry problems are solved. Fundamental research, see, this is some kind of research on established theories. For example, Newton's law of motion, right? Ohm's law. So here, your aim is to improve those scientific theories. For example, Laplace theorem or Laplace theory is used to solve differential equations. So can you improve this theory and have some another approach of solving the differential equations, which is better than the Laplace transform? Yeah, you have done fundamental research in that case. Exploratory research, so data collection, which is very challenging. For example, some situations are there, and the data collection itself is generally what we read in certain newspaper about dinosaur and something like that. 5,000 years before this happened and that happened. So they just explore the things based on the existing data. They use some mathematical models and extrapolate the things, and then they come to certain conclusions. So whenever data collection is very challenging, and still you come to certain conclusion based on the available data, then a kind of research is an exploratory research. Surveys, yes, research which involves surveys, that can be a research. I think always during election process, the research is done by the people, television, reporters, that they collect some data, they do some survey, and then they claim that the winner on this side, I mean in this particular pocket, is going to be XYZ or so, something like that. So based on survey. case studies. This is also another good, interesting research area where you can take a case study of certain situations, certain group of people, person, and then you can present. For example, we have a sugar factory in our neighborhood, and if you do some Google Scholar search, you will find there are several research papers in referred journal where people have done, uh, case study of sugar factories. So you can just duplicate those case studies, and you can claim that a case study in a Western Maharashtra or something like that. But you have to justify that why your case study, although it is replicating a case study of other area, makes sense. Because, say for example, someone has done research in a Malaysia for a sugar factory. You are doing same thing here in the perspective of our local sugar factory. And if you can justify why this case study is slightly different from the case study presented in Malaysia, then that can represent a potential research activity. So this is one example. There are many situations you can always consider to do a research as a case study. Yeah, so I have given some idea about types and what is research, what is not research, and all those things. And very important component, I always believe, is a literature review. And here sometimes we don't pay attention. As far as my experience, my interaction with my master students are concerned, or I've been guiding some PhD students, so I also realize that there is lot. I mean, guides have to mentor to the scholars to uh, emphasize the importance of literature review. So what is this literature review and what are its benefit? I know most of you have heard this literature review. This slide is not new to you, but maybe something I can add here based on my experience. Uh, of course, literature review is very important because it is going to help you understand the topic in detail. It is going to strengthen your fundamentals also. Sometimes we do research, but our basics are also not clear. It happens. It happened with me also, that I was doing some research, and then I realized that my basics are not clear. I went back to second year, third year books again. I spent some time, 15 days. I just went through all concepts, and then I continued with my research. So, literature review will force you to learn things which you have missed during your formal studies. It helps to become familiar with the different methodologies. I mean, see, there are several methodologies people have tried in the past, so you become familiar with those, and that enhances your knowledge also. It helps you learn if there exist any controversy, contradictions, inconsistencies in the past literatures. See, while doing literature review, what happens is automatically you come out with a review paper. I'll talk about it also. So that is very important, because your literature review can produce a paper based on only controversies. So you have come out with some controversies and separate paper on contradictions and inconsistencies. So those kind of papers are also there, and very important. We have been told that we have to do literature review to find the gaps. So reading several papers surely help to identify some gaps, and that gap is going to be your research problem. And while doing a literature review, it is always possible that you can include additional variable. I mean, see, you read 10 papers, 20, 30 papers, and sometimes you realize that one variable is missing. I mean, you can add something as a variable and you can control that variable, and that variable was not given much attention in the past, and you manipulate that variable, and that represents your research because you are adding something new. So literature review has so many benefits, and very important benefit I said is preparing or writing a research paper or a review paper, I would say. So that can be a starting point. In fact, in this meeting, there are good number of participants, and if I assume that you haven't written any review paper so far, then my suggestion would be to first think about review paper and publish it in a refereed journal, and then probably you can get into your own scientific work, technical work. And see, review paper has other benefits also. It improves your citations. If you just find me on Google Scholar, you will find I have crossed recently 800 citations, and my H index has also improved to, I think now it's a 14. So these numbers are possible if you have one or two review paper also. So it helps to build your scholarly credentials. I'll just take a pause here in the sense that I'll help you understand how to use a Google Scholar also. Many of you might be knowing that how Google Scholar is a very powerful search engine, and that can help you to do a literature review with very short time, and it can also lead to some kind of review paper. So what it says is use Google Scholar to do a literature review. In fact, I did my doctoral studies recently during 2010 to 2014 or 15, and I used the internet extensively, but I did not use the internet to that extent which I should have used, because I learned few things recently only. And prior to that, when I was doing my MTech, sometimes in 97, I was not having access to internet resources, because I remember I used internet sometimes in 1999, and therefore I used to go to different libraries. Maybe I remember I visited IIT Bombay 2 3 times, IIC Bangalore, because some of my friends were there, and I could visit those libraries with some permission. But it was difficult to find out a research question by going through the hard-bound journal papers, because you are not having any kind of tool which can help you to do literature review very fast. But you people are very lucky, or we are all lucky, that Google Scholar search engines is so nicely designed that we can come out with literature review very fast. So we have to use advanced help or advanced search field there, and I recommend a search by title and limit the literature review to referred journal. See, instead of reading this slide, I will demonstrate you probably. Professor Mari, is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine. So all of you have used Google Scholar. I mean, it's something not new, but maybe you might not have used this advanced search option. And if you just click it, you will find there is a window here. Now see, there are different options given to you that use all the words, exact phrase, at least one word, without word. And very important is this part, that whether you want these keywords uh, in the title of the article or anywhere in the article. So this field is very powerful field to download those research papers which are very relevant to your area of research. Okay, again, this is one more option available here. See, there are three more fields here, but I will suggest you to use or leverage this field, return articles published in. I will demonstrate you, and then you just practice it. Probably you can master, and you can even help me later on that, sir, this is even better approach than what you suggested. So maybe I'm working in certain field, maybe you can take any example like uh, maybe uh, heat exchanger. So you want to do research in the field of heat exchanger. Probably mechanical engineering people should know this. And I want all the papers with this phrase heat exchanger in the title, because you want to download all the papers related to the heat exchanger. I think just check the spelling. Okay, anyway, I'll just exclude this term heat exchanger. So I want all the research articles in the database in which the term or the word heat should appear in the title. So generally, I recommend just check this field, search in the title. Okay. Now see, again, just limiting one keyword may not give you a right, right path or right number of journals. You may add few more keywords. For example, some thermal. You want some kind of thermal word in that title, and just run the search. So you have so many articles, about 76,000. Now I know while we start doing research, we cannot go through all these so many journals. And maximum, as far as the literature review is concerned, we should limit our literature review to 50 to 100 number of journals. Or if at all you are a PhD student, you may like to read 200 journal papers, because you are going to do a research for 3 to 4 years. Okay. So we have to do something so that we can optimize the search process. For that purpose, what I recommend is you can limit to say some journals. For example, I want all the papers in elsewhere journals only. Okay. So here I am limiting the search process to some journals. So elsewhere. So now see what is going to happen. Suddenly, the number of articles, now it has gone down to 7,180. So this way, and again, if you put a filter, say for example, I want only papers published after 2018. That is how you are reducing the number of papers, and you will notice that all articles have the word thermal and heat in the title. And how to read paper is a different, I think, presentation. Someone should take a presentation on how to read a paper, maybe 1 hour talk. So I have here tried to guide you how can you use advanced search engine to limit your literature review process. So there are many things. Maybe I have just suggested you elsewhere. You can just check with Wiley. See, in general, there are some 6 to 8 publishers I recommend. I'll just list down also, and probably you might be knowing those. So Wiley, suppose. So now all the papers. Hello. Yes. So all the papers published in Wiley journals are available here. So you can see 298 articles uh, affiliated to Wiley are displayed on the screen. So that is how you can just limit your literature search process. So I strongly recommend to all participants to use this advanced search option extensively, and then you can narrow down the search process, and that should help you for review paper. So if you people have any question here, you can always ask me, or maybe at later stage also. Then comes the research question. So what is research question, research problem statement? These words generally be used. So it's simply a formal statement of a problem leading to research objectives. See, when it comes to doctoral thesis, because now most of you are a masters, I mean, you have done masters, or you might be doing PhD also. So in while pursuing PhD studies, what is expected is that you should have at least solved some 3 4 questions, research questions. Or if you have a very big research question, then you should break down that big research question into some 3-4 objectives, and every objective should produce one research paper for you. So suitable statement you have to formulate which will map the research, a particular research objective. So for one research objective, one problem statement. So that is a research question. Sometimes this term is used, a research hypothesis. So hypothesis is a unproven statement or proposition that is to be rejected or supported. So hypothesis is a term generally we use in a social science type of research. For example, now consider an institution RIT. And in RIT, 1,000 students stay on campus in hostels, and another 1,000 students they perform up and down from their home. So there can be a hypothesis that students staying on campus perform better than those students who travel from their home. So this is a hypothesis. It may be null hypothesis. I mean, it may be true hypothesis or it may be false. See, prima facie, what appears is those students staying on campus, they have a lot of time, and therefore they should perform better in exam. Whereas those students doing up and down, they may not perform better because most of the time and energy is spent while performing a journey. So their CGPA may not be good. So this is an hypothesis. But then how to test this hypothesis? We have to collect the data from controller of examination, COE for last 3 years. We have to analyze this data by using suitable statistical test, and then we can say that yes, those students staying on campus, they perform better than those students they travel every day. So hypothesis can also represent a kind of a research question or a statement representing a research question. So this is how the research questions are stated generally. Choosing the research design. So I think I told you there are a number of ways the research is classified. So in your case, say for example, you are from mechanical, civil, or electrical, electronics, computer science, automobile, and so on. So not necessarily, see, even automobile engineering people can do a very good survey, I mean research by doing a survey only in the field of automobile. For example, an automobile thesis can be like why XYZ vehicle is preferred, or why people choose four-wheeler over two-wheeler. So these kind of research topics can be formulated, considered as a part of your even doctoral thesis. So survey type research does not mean that it is just relevant to non-engineering people. It is relevant to our people. Even to second year and third year students of BTech, I gave a problem uh, to do a research on which kind of refrigerator is mostly purchased in the market and what are the reasons. And then we prepared small manuscript also. Of course, it got rejected from as far as the referred journals are concerned, but still I am pursuing it in a low profile journals. Just a second year students did that work. So this kind of survey can represent one kind of study design for you. Experiment, this word is very general. I mean, you can have laboratory experiment or you can experiment on people or situation and like that. So, or maybe your simulation or coding program you have written using certain scientific theories, tools, and that can be called as an experiment also. So that there either you are working on research problem in the laboratory or working on your computer or something like that. So that can be a research design you may choose depending upon your requirement. Secondary data study. So these kind of studies are mostly conducted in a social science type of studies where direct data may not be available, but the secondary data, I mean, you circulate the Google form or other similar things you do, and then you collect the data and then you draw certain conclusion from the data which you collected, or observation type of study design you can always choose depending upon your research question. Now I think I have done with most of the things. I have certain 2 3 slides left now, where I have certain suggestions to the researchers, beginners, based on my experience. So I told you, research methodology course is not new. It is available on internet resources and you can always do. But my whole idea was to share my experience only. And I shall be more happy that we will have more interactive session at the later stage, because if just I keep on talking, and I believe that teaching research methodology course is something like teaching how to swim through PowerPoint presentations. If I give you wonderful PowerPoint presentation that how to swim in the river, you cannot master, uh, you know, in that area. You have to actually jump into the river and then do it. So it is actually like that to me. But still, certain suggestions should help you. See, I already mentioned about Google Scholar. So use suitable keywords based on, see, keywords are very important while you do your literature review, because if you choose the wrong keywords, then Google Scholar is a search engine, it's a machine. So you should be smart to feed appropriate keywords so that you will get only those research papers which you require to work in that area. If you don't substitute or submit right keywords, even if 1 month you spend, you will never come to those group of papers which are very relevant to your research paper. So it requires a lot of practice, and by practice you will master as to which keyword is best for you. Identify article in some specific area. I always believe that suppose you are teaching some subject, because see, we are all teacher, so our primary goal is to teach some subjects to our students, and then the second part we do a research. Okay, but I believe if you do a research you will become a better teacher. I have seen people, I'm sorry for this statement, but those people who haven't done a research cannot demonstrate teaching abilities. So if you do a good research, then you become more confident being a teacher. You deliver the subject more effectively, because the way you look at the subject changes after having done a research, and then of course publishing the research, and that should be original. In sense, writing a research paper does not mean that you will copy paragraph to paragraph from some resources, or you will just modify those paragraphs and then you will prepare your statement. No, you have to write your own statements there also, and that's kind of training. So identify articles. What I mean here basically is that you are teaching some subject. Say, for example, a civil engineering person is teaching building construction subject, or mechanical engineering person is teaching refrigeration and air conditioning subject, or computer science person is teaching data structure. So these subjects you are already teaching, right? So naturally, you will have good knowledge about that subject. So your fundamentals are clear. So in that case, if you are teaching for a long time, same subject, then why don't you do a research in that area? So use some suitable keywords, feed into the search engine, and download or identify those articles which are relevant to your knowledge. I mean, close to your area of interest. If you have done master studies, master thesis, and if you believe that you are very good as far as your master topic is concerned, MTech topic is concerned, then that area you may like to continue, and then in that case identify recent research articles. What I mean is, don't use the articles published maybe 2 years, 3 years before. No, right now, last month, how many articles are there published in your area? Those articles becomes very relevant for you to identify your research question. classify the articles. See, this is very important. I was talking to you just few minutes before that when you do a literature review, then that literature review should help you to produce a review article for you. So that should be your main aim. And its byproduct is identifying research question. So many questions, many people ask me, sir, how to write a research paper, sorry, review paper. So the review paper can be written in a number of ways, but one of the approach I generally follow is thematic type of approach. That means, suppose you are doing research in certain area, then download the articles, of course, in that area, but group those articles. I mean, at least 3 to 4 groups you should be able to form and give a suitable title to that group based on the type of paper. That is called thematic literature review, right? So I'll not give example now here. You can understand what I mean. So classify the articles in your area, and what you do here is compare and contrast the articles in the group within the group, or compare and contrast here, compare and contrast the groups itself, so that can represent your very good review article. So these are some good suggestions, and this is my experience that I am sharing. So all this will lead to a good review article, and that will strengthen your research profile also, because you have started research. The first step is writing review article and submitting it, and then waiting for review process and other things. Identify possible ways to improve existing problem. Yeah, see, most of the time your research problem can be as simple as this, that you have downloaded a papers and then you are redefining same question. I mean, existing problem only you are solving, but either redefining or by using some other approach or something like that. So this can be, this is what I have been doing in most of my, papers. Even I have been there now as a director. Believe me, every day, at least 1 hour I spend to write some of the manuscripts. uh, Already some work is done in the past or so. So every day I write for 1 hour something at home, finding out time from my all schedules. So I also encourage you people to keep yourself engaged for some kind of research activity every day. Although there are many things like we have to take lectures and administrative work and whatnot, but we cannot compromise by not doing research related activities. Some suggestions here more. Professor Mali, can I spend 5-10 minutes more?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, See, these are some shortcuts I am suggesting, because we are a teacher and we are always loaded with several activities. So just like our students, teacher also wants some shortcuts, that somehow I will have 1 or 2 papers published and then someone will give me a doctoral degree and over. So this is also good, no problem. But believe me, after having completed doctoral studies, we have to keep publishing lifetime, because the competition in the market is so high that we have to keep our profile always strong. That means I also have a goal that every year at least I must have 2 to 3 research articles published in a refereed journal. So I do whatever possible here. I just keep chasing my doctorate students, or I keep chasing my btech people, whosoever come in a way. I just ask him to join me, and then irrespective of engineering discipline, I have one student at Walchand College who is now currently in a final year btech, and two years before he joined me.
गेस्ट लेक्चर आहे तो.
I think someone is there on the mic. uh, okay, so one of the student who just, I mean, like this only, I'm conducting some session right now, and there are some 30-40 participants, and couple of years before I was doing same thing. Some students joined me, and one student started chasing me from mechanical department, and then he said, sir, I want to work on optimization, something like that. So I have not seen that student. Only telephonically I guide him, I send him some papers, and one of our paper jointly written by him and me, is now under review. Actually, we have submitted first revision. American Society of Mechanical Engineering, there is a journal, manufacturing processes. So see how the research paper can be produced by taking help of anyone. Anyway, so identify tools. See here, you are already working on certain research topic. Okay. And then always the problem is identifying a problem. See, for a researcher, the problem is identifying a problem. That is what is my experience. The moment we find a problem, I mean, the moment we identify a problem, 90% of the work is over. All that you need is to solve that problem. So, what can be done here is try to make use of some mathematical tools or tools available in other engineering discipline and connect those tools with the study under consideration. This is one suggestion, that some theories in mathematics you can apply to your current research problem, and then it can be like application of XYZ theory to your technical problem. Or in other management studies, in management there are many theories. Okay, those theories can be applied to our. We have to see like it is possible or not. For example, see, mechanical people can understand this multi-attribute decision making. See, multi-attribute decision making, multi-criteria decision making is very common in production engineering, mechanical engineering, manufacturing engineering. So I just learned from someone. I was attending some workshop, and then I applied it to electrical engineering. And then I think we have two manuscripts under review process, uh, a mini project by MTech students. So this you can also try in your case if it is relevant. This is common. See, fuzzy logic, optimization, multi-objective optimization. These kind of theories are available in the market. You can always orient your research wherein you are taking advantage of these mathematical tools to solve your problem. That can contribute a very good research paper. Multi-objective. Suppose some single objective problem exists, you can modify and make them multi-objective. You can add more constraints, more limitations, and make the problem more realistic, and you can solve it. Relaxing some assumptions. See, whenever we read some papers, we find that there are certain set of assumptions. So these assumptions, uh, I mean, you can work on certain assumptions, you can relax some assumptions, and that can represent potential research problem for you. I think I mentioned application of theories of other discipline to current research problem, which is under consideration. And I encourage you to add this list that yes, we can do something, and you can make use of some other theories to your current research problem. That means you are exploring new things which are relevant to your research problem, and then taking advantage of those things or connecting your research problem with those theories and creating new knowledge. Because eventually, as I said in the beginning, anything where you claim that you have created some new knowledge, that can represent your research. This is probably the last slide, and before I close my presentation, I have added this slide where there are 4 bullets only. This is the engineering education research. This is one of the research we teachers should take always. I mean, I claim, or I believe, and I think I have mentioned to many of my teachers that whenever we prepare a teaching plan, I think your head of the department will be asking you to submit teaching plan for 36 lectures teaching plan. Instead of submitting 36 lectures teaching plan, it is good idea to submit a research proposal that, sir, this time engineering mathematics subject I will teach by this way. This is my synopsis of teaching engineering mathematics subject in a different way. So teaching plan, instead of preparing a teaching plan, prepare a synopsis where you are going to teach same subject in a different way, and you are doing experiment. So at the end of semester, you should be ready with some research article. So you are going to teach the subject and simultaneously you are doing research. This approach, if you follow, that every year at least you will have one research paper in the field of engineering education research. So this is my suggestion to the teaching fraternity. Your research may be based on specific technique. I mean, if you are teaching some subject, so you can have some specific technique to deliver a course, laboratory course, theory course, or maybe seminars, project. You have used some strategy to just hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, there was a call. Okay, so I think I was talking to you about engineering education research. Yeah, assessment methodology. You can have, you always assess their internal sectional marks. So if you believe that you have a different kind of assessment methodology to give away their internal marks, then that can represent a potential research paper, and you can always disseminate the knowledge. And very important, if you happen to do this kind of researches, I mean research in engineering education, then make sure that you are including statistical test in your result and analysis section. I think some professor is going to talk about how to write a research paper, where he will teach you, or sorry, he will explain you how to configure a result section. So there you have to use some statistical test if your research happens to be from this area. One of the commonly used software is the SPSS tool. Management people use it extensively, but you can always download it. It is a very freely available resource, and you can improve the quality of your research article in that case. So I think I have given you some idea based on my experience. I have already mentioned that this is a separate course and it requires some 10 to 15 lectures to deliver it effectively. But instead of making it more theoretical, I have tried to make it very practical by sharing some of my experiences, and hope it should help you to identify a problem or to solve your current problem more effectively. So, Professor Madi, I have done my presentation, and I'm open for the questions.
Yes, sir. So thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. Now I request all participants, please ask if you have any query.
Sir, Abhishek Patil raise his hand for question. Just second. I will
Yeah, you
unmute him.
can. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hi, yes. Yes, sir. Ask me.
Hello.
Yes, yes, you are audible. Please ask.
Sir, please go ahead.
Sir, I'm a project guide for 3 batches of BE Mechanical. So, as a project guide, what I should suggest my student regarding such a project, which is capable of patent registration and other activities,
Yeah.
and like such projects, patent level projects.
Okay.
सो
Patent
स्टुडंट
level
म्हणजे
project.
कसं व्हायलंय, सध्या मुलं प्रोजेक्ट जे घेऊन येत आहेत ते कुठे ना कुठेतरी ऐकलेलं असते किंवा त्या त्या टाईपचं वर्किंग कुठे ना कुठेतरी केलेलं असते. पण ऍज अ प्रोजेक्ट गाईड म्हणून आम्ही त्यांना कसं तयार किंवा कन्व्हिन्स करू की या रिलेटेड प्रोजेक्ट त्यांनी किंवा या रिलेटेड थिंकिंग करावं यासाठी.
Yeah, good question actually. Professor Kakade will answer it better, but still I will help you here out. See, you said patenting here. So when it comes to patent, I understand that there are 2 to 3 important points we have to, check before we decide a project to be patented. One is, say for example, you want to do some project, check it whether it's an obvious. See what patent says basically. Anything which is obvious cannot be patented. जे मराठीतून सांगायचं झालं तर एखादी गोष्ट अगदी ऑब्वियस असेल, आता ऑब्वियसला मराठी शब्द मला माहित नाही, तर ऑब्वियस असेल तर त्याला पेटेंटचं, आय मीन वी कॅनॉट call it as a patentable. Okay, so that we have to make sure as a professor. That's one thing. Second thing is, if something is to be patented, then it should have a commercial potential. I mean, if you decide that we want to do a project which is to be patented, then check, do we have a commercial potential? म्हणजे if you do something which has no meaning as far as the industry requirements or society requirements are concerned, it has no any commercial exploitation possible, then such a project may not qualify as far as patenting is concerned. So at least these two important points are very important, uh, and that you have to check first. म्हणजे काय, what I mean is, if they come out with XYZ idea, then it is your duty to do some Google search, that whether this XYZ idea is already done by something. I think there is a Google patent. I mean, if you just check the Google Scholar and Google Patent, so Google have got two products. One is a Google Scholar where the scholarly publications are available, and Google have got separate database where only patents are also there. So cross check whether what your students are asking for is available in a public domain or not. So that's very important. And secondly, your best judgment that whether this kind of project will fetch any commercial, I mean whether it will generate some revenue or not, that also has to be checked. So I think I can answer this much only. Is that fine, Professor?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Hello.
Ah, yes.
Uh,
Yes.
Hello, Sushma
Yes.
madam. Sushma madam asked one question, sir. I just repeat it. How many samples we need to collect during research?
Okay. You are referring.
Sir, yes,
You are,
she's
you
here, sir.
are okay.
Hello.
Hi, yes, yes. Go ahead, madam.
Hello. Okay. Good morning, sir. First of all,
Yes,
myself
good
Sushma Desai, and I'm assistant professor in the YC College Satara. So I want to ask you, how many the samples were for analysis for further studied? Then how many taken the samples for analysis? Is there any standard value for collection?
No, see, data, we are talking about data collection process here. So, data collection is a general term, and there is one more topic that is called sampling. Actually, I have not touched to the topic because most of such researches are in the field of social sciences, and I believe most of the participants are from engineering domain. So, my presentation was
Okay.
more biased. But you said sampling, I
Okay.
think data. So, first of all, check your problem. uh, I'll give you example. Say now see the coronavirus is a concern. Obviously,
Yes.
this if this pandemic was limited to Maharashtra state, we would have collected sample from the Maharashtra, from the different regions based on our resources available, how much money is there available to collect the data and all those things. But now see the pandemic is throughout the world. So in that case, the data collection is not possible. You can't go and ask to each and every person in the whole world that what is happening or what's the concern about this coronavirus or something like that. So in that case, what you do is you may rely on the for a specific country. I mean, there are 200 countries. You can take some sample out of these countries like that, instead of taking sample of each and every individual in that country. So depending upon the volume of your problem, see, if you have more sample, obviously the accuracy will be more, madam. Is that clear? More samples, accuracy will be
Yes,
very
sir.
high.
Yes,
But
sir.
but we have constraints, like we don't have a time, we may not have money to collect all those. So whatever best possible for you, you have to try and justify in your research paper that you have used Google Form, you have telephoned, you have visited, you conducted a meeting, and that was the best possible strategy for you. And there is no loss of accuracy in your research. So it's your skill to limit the sample, but justify that although I have limited samples, there is no error in my research. If you can justify to the reviewer, probably you are through. So I think I've answered your question.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you. Actually, sir, I'm belonging to life science subject, so that's why I'm asking this question.
Perfect. So I told you, you can't collect,
Yes, sir.
large data, but small data may lead to inaccuracies. So the best
Yes,
compromising
sir.
solution you have to find out based on the resources available, but you have to justify in the research article. That's very important.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any question, sir? Professor Mari, is there any question?
Morning.
Hello, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hi,
I'm
yes.
audible.
Yes.
Sir,
Hi, yes.
myself Tejas Bansode. I'm from this Government College of Engineering, Karad, Civil Engineering Department.
Perfect.
Sir, I have done my literature study, but still I am confusing about my the project title, research title, because I feel the my title is a very same to many other authors are studied that literature study and publish their publications. So how I can fix my literature title?
I think you do the research and then fix your title. I mean, you should not decide your title first and do the research. What I was trying to convince you throughout my presentation is that if you have done, say, literature review extensively, and you have found certain areas, gray areas where you can work because no one has done that. Is that correct, sir?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you know, yeah, if you know that something has not been handled or something has been handled, but there is an improvement possible by making certain changes, redefining. So while you do all these things, automatically a new title will come to your mind. So I want that you should not freeze the title and do the research. But I know in certain universities, what they ask is they ask you to submit your synopsis with suitable title. But to arrive at a title, if you have done extensive literature review, probably you have found some gaps or something which does not exist and which is your potential research question. So that will help you to redefine your title. So my suggestion would be like that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
Sir,
Hello.
when I'm done my literature study, I found that my objective is similar to other researcher, but my case study was different. So how I can justify my research is different from others researcher?
Yeah, see, object is going to remain same because if you check the research papers published in the last week, there are many papers published in the same area with the same objective by different people all around the world. But everyone has tried to solve that or fix that objective by different approaches. So let the objective be same, but you have to justify that although this objective is similar to the published literatures, I have a different approach for that. So that different approach or whatever, different, something different that you need to justify or mention. That's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, fine.
Hello, Kasar sir.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead,
Hello,
please.
Kasar sir.
Hi.
Uh, Kasar sir. Hello.
Hello.
Kasar sir, just text one question, sir.
Hi, yes.
Please share demo of some tools used during the research work.
Tools are actually it's a very general question. I mean, which branch he is from and what kind of tools he's talking about. It's not
Uh,
clear actually.
he just text in the chat box. Just a
I
second.
need a clarity actually. It's a very vague question.
Okay. Other participant, if you have any question, you can ask here. Okay, Inamdar sir, please go ahead.
Sir, does the title should be self-explanatory or it should be shortened to some typical keywords?
I think you're not audible. Your voice is breaking. Can you please repeat?
Sir, I'm audible.
Can you
Sir, your
type?
voice is
Does
breaking.
the title should be self-explanatory? One second.
I think he says whether the title should
Good morning,
be
sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir. Does the title should be self-explanatory or it should be limited to some specific keywords?
I mean, which title you are talking about? Are you talking about journal title or I mean,
No, sir, my paper title. So whatever my
journal
paper title
research
I'm
paper,
going to
research
finalize.
paper title?
Research title.
See,
Yes, sir.
research
Yes, sir.
paper, yeah, research paper title is very important. Actually, there is a speaker who is going to talk about how to write research article. There he will guide you further. But still, I will answer your question. Research title is very important when you submit your research paper. It has many advantages because you want your paper to be published, and at the same time you want your paper should be cited by other people. So those people will search by certain specific keywords. So those specific keywords should be there in your title. That's one important concern. Secondly, title should talk about what you have done. If your title has no connection with what you have done in the paper, then your reviewer will criticize it. So title should be self-explanatory, no doubt, and should be very properly, appropriately configured, representing your research activity. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
If no questions, probably we can take a break in that case. Professor Mari, just check because I have another
Just a second.
meeting also.
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Yes, Minister. Mr. Mr. Inamdar.
Okay. If you have any question, you can ask.
No, sir, no further question. I'm done with it.
Okay, sir. I hope all the queries are clear. So I request MS Yadav, sir. Hello. Hello,
Hello.
Yadav, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Am I
So
audible,
please.
sir? Okay. So now moving towards the vote of thanks. So on the behalf of Department of Civil Engineering Diploma Wing, I would like to express our sincere thanks to today's resource person, respected Dr. H.V. Jadhav sir, for conducting such a wonderful and informative session. Definitely, we all participants got idea regarding how to get benefits of advanced searches in Google Scholar after completion of this session. The whole session was full of knowledge, and definitely the things sir thought will be very useful and applicable for all of us in future study. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and such a wonderful guidance. And with this, we also expect same cooperation and guidance from you, sir, in our future. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Also, there is one notice for all the participants. Feedback link of today's session is given in chat box and also on WhatsApp group. So I request all the participants to please fill feedback so that we will assist ourselves and improve our performance. Thank you. With this, I announce that the today's session is over. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
All participants, please fill the feedback of today's session.